Hey y'all, thanks for tuning back into Chickanic. Hope everybody's having a great week. Up on the bench today, I have a customer Stihl FS45 trimmer. Now it doesn't matter if you have a 55 or a 45, the engines are exactly the same. So if you have a trimmer that's been sitting around for years, watch this video and hopefully I can save you some time, money, and frustration in the future. But before we get into today's video, if you're a fan of saving time, money, and frustration while fixing your own small engine equipment while watching in-depth tutorials, you've come to the right place because that's what I do. I upload a couple times a week, and if that sounds interesting, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell, and please leave a comment. I love to read through the comments, and I'll reply to all the early commenters. All right, y'all have to excuse me today. I am talking through my nose. I am still sick. I got that gunk all up in my face, but I wanted to knock this one out because, especially early in the season, because so many of you have this particular trimmer with the exact same issue. Today, we're going over everything that could possibly be wrong with this machine that's been sitting for years, and hopefully save another one from the junkyard. Now, first thing I did notice when I was messing with this one, the throttle trigger is really hard to pull. Now, if you have that issue, do not force it. Where the throttle cable comes into the trigger, it's in a little plastic tab, and it will break very easily. Do not force it. We might want to take this whole thing apart and lube everything up really well. I felt back here on the carburetor where it's attached to see maybe if it's the carburetor lever, throttle lever that's making it so hard to pull, but it's not. So it's something to do with the cable itself. Second, this thing's been sitting so long that I can't barely pull it. I don't know if the piston's stuck or what. First thing I'm going to do is remove this plug and see if I can pull this pull rope. Now that plug is a little moist and it's got a bunch of carbon buildup on it. Now that we have the plug removed though, it pulls easier, but I can still feel it needs some lubrication inside that cylinder. Now to get the cylinder to loosen up a little bit, we want to give it some lubrication. So I'm going to give a little bit of oil mix, fuel directly down into the cylinder. And I'm just going to pull the pull rope slowly, get it all worked down in there over and over again. I need this thing to loosen up a bunch. After I've done this quite a few times, I'm going to put my plug back in and see if she pulls any better. And let's pull and see. Yeah. Oh, there we go. That's a lot nicer. That's good. Remember, you do not want to force things. If you would have just, without lubricating it and tried to pull through, you would have destroyed your rewind assembly. Now, next thing we want to do is get this throttle trigger to where it pulls a lot easier. Right now, it's really tough, and you will either break the prong in your throttle trigger or break the cable altogether. So we want to go ahead and give it a little lube. Now for this, you can use any kind of penetrating lube that you want. I am a fan of fluid film, one because it's made in the USA. They've been around for like 100 years. Yes, it does smell a little weird, but it works really well. If you want to get some of your own fluid film, I will leave a link in the description box below. And what we're going to want to do is at the end of this cable right here, where it ends in this plastic bracket and the sheath ends, we're going to want to spray up inside of that. Now, right here at the end, where your cable is in this bracket, the end of the sheath right here, we just want to get it and spray up into that. And it will work its way up into that sheath. Now, on the other end, you can see, hopefully, your cable comes out right there by that white plastic area, and it goes into your trigger. But if I can show you, right around that edge, there is a small little black section you can see where the throttle cable goes into, and that's the sheath. We're going to want to get in there and get it lubed up. Then we want to just carefully start getting it all to loosen right back up. Oh yeah, there we go. Much easier. Now, here's something I just noticed you might want to see. While I was getting that rewind to start pulling good again, something fell out of this trimmer. Look at all these pieces. Now that's an antenna. That's part of a body. I think that's a leg. We might want to remove this rewind and make sure there's not a bunch of bug carcasses up in there. Well, that might have been the only one. That rewind don't sound so good. Needs to be lubricated. Now the starter pawl looks okay. I just don't like the sound of that rewind spring, and a lot of times after things like this have sat for a while, your spring is could be rusty. And we're not going to go too deep into this since it is still retracting okay. I just want to get some lube down there. So I don't need to take the whole thing off. I'm just going to spray around this shaft right here, and it'll go down inside and get to that rewind spring. Another way you can get a little bit more lube down there, where the end of the rewind spring comes out right next to the pull rope eyelet hole, you can spray down in there too. After you spray there, just let gravity help you. All right, everything sounds a lot better now. And while I got it apart, you can do this while it's together, but I want to go ahead and check this spark arrestor screen. These are notorious for clogging up, and I just don't want that to be an issue. A lot of times things that have set will have dirt daubers or mud daubers, whatever you like to call them. Little nests in there, and this one is actually starting to clog up on one side. It would have ran because one side is completely clear, but one side is already clogged up, so we're going to go ahead and burn that out. Now, you do have options here. If you are a homeowner working on your own piece of equipment, you can just pull off, grab your pliers, squeeze it, pull off the entire exhaust screen, and you're good to go. I cannot do that. I am a repair shop, and I can get fined thousands of dollars for not putting an exhaust screen back into a unit. So I'm going to burn it off. Now, I'm just using a lighter because that's what most people at home have. If you have MAP gas or if you have a blowtorch, whatever you want to use, we just got to get this carbon off of it. All right, so I can see through all the little holes again. It doesn't have to be perfect. I can just replace it, but why, charge $8-9 for a new spark arrestor screen whenever these ones are so easy to clean out? I can go ahead and put my rewind back on. Now that we've prevented some things from breaking and done a little service, we want to throw some fuel in her and see if she starts up. The best way to get your carburetor that's been sitting for a long time to start working again is to get gas flowing through it, getting everything lubricated again, and getting those diaphragms pumping. We might throw gas in it and it not run at all. Those diaphragms might have sat way too long, be hard as a rock. I have no idea, but it's a lot simpler for me to just throw some fuel in it and check that way than it is to tear the carburetor apart first. Now that we got that rewind working pretty well, I'm going to go ahead and check compression. I took a little peek when I took the spark plug out the first time, and the cylinder wall looked good from what I could see, so hopefully she's got some good compression. Ooh, but I do have to do this on the floor. Can't do that up on the bench. Oh, she pulls so much easier now. Hey, we got 140 pounds. Now, so far, I've pressed the primer bulb a couple times and it didn't break on me. It can as soon as I get some fuel in there and start pressing on it a bunch. But we'll come to that issue if we have to. I'm using my mix regular gas with Red Armor oil. If you want to get some of your own Red Armor oil, it is the best. I will leave a link in the description box below. All right, let's see if she's gonna prime. That primer bulb does look a little scary. Purge bulb, whatever you want to call it. I'm team prime. Tell me in the comment section below. What are you? Are you team prime or are you team purge? We might have a hole in there. I don't know. Oh, we're just going to keep priming the stink out of it till we get something in there. Do we have a hole? I think we might. Oh, these diaphragms might be too hard. I'm not priming anything. Now, even though it is not priming yet, I might have a tiny hole that I can't see in it. I'm probably going to go ahead and change it out anyways, just because I don't want it to be an issue for the customer. But you can actually just choke it and see if it'll start. That's what I'm going to do. So she did not prime, but she is on choke. So. Okay, I'm going to take her off choke. Now, I did flood the fuel, cylinder with fuel mix, so that could have been it burning that off. Now we're going to put her back on choke. She ain't getting no gas. Now, many times, if you can get it to prime, you can get the diaphragms to loosen up again. This one not being able to prime, we're going to have to go into the carburetor and see what's going on. And use your 8mm nut driver to remove the 2 nuts holding on the air filter base. We're going to open the gas cap, that way there's no pressure in the tank, so when we remove our fuel lines, it doesn't scooch out a bunch of fuel on us. One thing that's good about Stihl is their fuel lines last forever. It's very, now the chainsaw ones, I see them deteriorate sometimes, but move the throttle cable in there. But their trimmer ones seem to just last forever and ever. Now I am pretty sure what I'm gonna find when I open up this carburetor from it not priming at all, which it could also be a hole in the primer bulb, but I was holding my finger over it to where if there was a hole, it should have still had some kind of suction. We're going to find a metering diaphragm that is hard as a rock, probably. Oh yeah, that thing is stiff. That's not going to let any fuel in whatsoever. Let's take a peek at the other side here. Yeah, that diaphragm is sucked out. Now at this point, you got 2 options. You can either kit your carburetor or you can replace it altogether. Now, if you're going to kit it, you're going to use an RB100 carburetor kit. Now you can get aftermarket ones online for about $8. Oh, an actual Zama one, you're going to end up spending a little bit more. At the shop, I charge $15 for a carburetor kit, an extra $15 in labor. So at the shop, I don't really kit them that often anymore because a whole brand new Stihl OEM carburetor is only like $35. So it just doesn't make much sense for me to do it here, especially it saves me a bunch of time. And time is money. Now you might want to attempt a kit, but there's something you got to think about. If your unit has been sitting for a long time, especially if your primer bulb was cracked and open, this little primer base right here has 2 little check valves with diaphragms inside of it. And if they dry out, they will not ever work again and they will not prime. Sometimes you can get them to loosen up, but sometimes it doesn't matter. You got a brand new kit in there, you got a diaphragm that's pumping, but you will not ever be able to prime because this goes out. So that is a chance you're taking. Now you can find aftermarket carburetors from HIPAA for about $15. That is the only brand that I would recommend you trying. Other aftermarket ones I've had lots of bad experiences with. I might have ordered 5 at a time and 4 out of the 5 all had issues right out of the box. If you do want to get a OEM Stihl carburetor, it is a part number 4140-120-0619. So today, just to make it simple, I'm going to go ahead and throw another carburetor on. Check to make sure we're priming. This air filter cleaned up just fine. I'm going to reuse that. And the fuel filter, usually they're fine. Okay, we got her all put back together. Let's see if she runs. Got her primed, got her choked. Popped off. Sort of wanting to idle. We got to get that gas moving through that carburetor. Put her on choke again. Take her off choke. Give her a little throttle. Well, she runs great, and hopefully these few little steps will keep you out of the repair shop. A carburetor is probably all you need. Just make sure that you lubricate all the moving parts. You don't want to end up with a broken throttle cable or a messed up rewind spring. Also, I do get a lot of people that ask me, since I was saying that the engines are exactly the same, if you have a 45 that's a curved shaft, can you get a straight shaft from a 55 with like a burned up engine and swap out the shafts? You absolutely can. And I tell customers to do it all the time. A lot of times people have buyer's remorse whenever they get a curved shaft, thinking that they really don't need the straight shaft because it is a little bit more expensive. And then once you find out that you're bending over the entire time you're trimming, you realize you really do want that straight shaft. But you don't have to buy a whole brand new trimmer. There are auctions or yard sales or people online selling machines for parts. And yes, you could definitely put an FS55 straight shaft on your current FS45 engine. So guys, hopefully this video helps you save some time, money, and frustration in the future. If you find yourself coming back over and over again, think about hitting that subscribe button. And if you ain't tired of me yet, check this video out right here.